So in today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to replace all the backlight bulbs behind your climate control on a third generation Acura Integra. We're going to cover the defrost switch bulbs, the hazard switch bulb, the bulbs behind the vent control buttons, and the bulbs behind the sliders for the hot, cold, and fan speed. I'm going to show you exactly what bulbs you need to buy. I'm going to be upgrading mine to LEDs, which probably most of you are as well. So let's jump right into it. The very first step is to remove both the defrost switch and the hazard switch from the dash. Those switches will both just pop out. You need to use like a plastic trim tool. Just work it in the bottom of the buttons. That camera angle there shows where you have to position the tool. So just get it in the bottom and you just kind of got to work them out. They are a little bit tight. I did have to fiddle with them for a little bit. And then once they pop out, you just undo the harnesses that they are both attached to. Since the hazard and defrost switch are the first thing you take out, we'll cover those bulbs first. This is the hazard switch, and you'll see the bulb in the top of it there, and just pop it out with a screwdriver. I'll show you the bulb I take out there, and then I'll show you what type of bulb it is, and this is the LED replacement that I purchased. So this bulb is used in both the hazard switch and the defrost switch, but the defrost switch with an asterisk, and we'll get to that. Here I'm just putting in the new LED into the hazard switch. So now on the defrost switch, it does use the same bulb, but oddly enough it doesn't use that bulb for its backlight. So here I am taking it out, and I was expecting this would be the backlight bulb on the defroster as well, but it's not. I was a little surprised to see that it has a yellow sheath on it, which means it's actually the amber indicator that comes on when you press the button, letting you know your defroster is on. It uses a different bulb for the actual backlight, and I'm going to take it out here in a second and show you what it is. And as far as I know, you can't get this bulb anywhere aftermarket. There's not really an LED replacement for it. Ironically enough, this was my only bulb that actually was burnt out. So I had to order a new one from Honda, which I don't have yet at the time of making this video, which is why in my after picture, my defroster is actually not lit up. So what I'm showing you now are the two screws that you need to remove to pull the climate control unit away from the dash. And you'll just need to reach in there with a screwdriver. Now I'm going to loosen them almost all the way, but not completely, because you don't want them to come out of the sockets and then drop behind everything and have to take your whole center console apart to find them. So I would recommend loosening them almost all the way and then reach in with something else to extract them, which I'll show you in a minute. So once you have those two screws out, if you try to pull the climate control unit away from the dash at this point, it's not going to move very far at all. And that's because there's one more thing that you have to undo. The hot-cold slider is actually connected to the vent controls with a physical cable. And there's no slack in it at all. In fact, there can't be, otherwise the control wouldn't work. And so you need to unhook that before you can pull that assembly any distance away from the dash. So now I'm underneath. For reference, you can see the OBD2 port there, which is in the passenger side footwell. And right there, that's where you need to unclip the cable. So I've got it almost all the way off, and now I just clipped it all the way off. You also need to pull it down out of this little metal clip that holds it as well. So grab onto the sheath with some pliers and pull it straight down. It is in there pretty tight, so you probably will need pliers. Now you'll be able to pull the climate control unit quite a bit further away from the dash in order to give you enough room to change the bulbs. So once you've pulled it a little bit away from the dash, looking down behind the vents, straight down, you can see where I've got my phone positioned there to get that camera angle. Those two circular white circle things there, those are the two bulbs that are behind the vent buttons. You need to just pop them a little loose. You can just use a screwdriver, and then this extractor tool again I'm going to use. This will allow you to reach in there and pull them out. They're not in there very tight, so they come out pretty easy. So these are the LED replacements for those bulbs. You'll need a total of 4 of these bulbs because both the bulbs behind the buttons and the bulbs, which we'll get to in a little bit behind the sliders, are the same. So we're going to do these 2 first. So now I'm inserting the new LEDs. So once you've got both bulbs in, make sure you turn on your lights to test that they're working. You'll see here that only one of mine was working initially. I think I had the other one in backwards, so I'm just readjusting it now. Because the last thing you want to do is put this all back together and then find out that they're not working. That will not be a good day. So that takes care of the bulbs behind the vent controls, but what about the slider backlight bulbs? So you can see in this shot here, the slider ones are actually on, but they don't even look like they're on because in comparison to the LEDs, they're so much dimmer. So now I'm kind of feeling with my fingers to find where those bulbs are. There's 2 bulbs behind the sliders. One is sort of in the middle of the hot-cold slider, and then the other one is almost right behind the 3 or the 4 of the fan speed slider. And it's a little awkward to get at them. You kind of got to do it by feel. You just got to reach back there with your hands. That one there, that's the one that's behind the fan speed control. I actually took out the one behind the hot-cold sliders first. That one's a little bit easier to get at. So right now, it did take me a couple minutes, but I think honestly the easiest way is once you find it, you just want to kind of dig into it with your fingernail and pop it out. They're not in there that tight. So there it is. I got the one behind the hot-cold slider out. And here I was able to kind of get a shot that shows you exactly where that one behind the hot-cold slider is. So you can see the hole there now. And then when you install the LED bulb, you're going to have to feel for that hole and basically put it in. So now I'm getting the one that's behind the fan speed control, which again is that one. This one's a little bit more awkward because it's right up against the edge. It's harder to get your finger around it, but I'm sure you can do it. So there, I've got that one out now as well. And so those are the exact same type of bulbs that were behind the vent control buttons. So now I'm going to put in the replacement LED. And here now I'm going to put in the one on the other side. Once the bulbs were loosely in place, I used just the bit of a screwdriver to twist them and lock them into place. So once you blindly feel your way around and get those ones in, make sure you turn the lights on and make sure they're working before you start putting it all back together, which I do here. Both mine are working, and so now I'm going to start to put the climate control unit back into the dash. After you've got it clipped back into the dash, the next thing to do is hook back up the cable for the hot-cold slider. So after that's all hooked back up and you've made sure that it's working, you can now reinstall the 2 screws. With the screws back in and tight, it's now just a matter of putting the defrost switch and hazard switch back in, and then you're done. You'll notice in my after picture that the defrost switch isn't lit up, and this is because, as you saw earlier in the video, I didn't end up having a replacement bulb for that because I was expecting it was going to be the same backlight bulb as the hazard switch. Ironically, that was the only bulb in my system that was actually burned out, so I actually had to order a new one from Honda, and I don't have it yet, but I thought I would just finish the video anyways. Luckily, that switch is the first thing you take out, so it's not like I have to take apart everything all over again to replace it. As always, if you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below, and I'll do my best to answer as many of the questions as I can. I have listed all of the bulbs that you need to use and what they are for in the description, as well as all the tools I've used.